you might be thinking, Kyle, the next time you said you get to Final Fantasy, you'd be doing 7 with Kenny. That's the next mainline game I'm doing. I want to do Mystic Quest first just to honestly kind of get it out of the way. But let's not delay any farther and just get right into the game after this really nice intro theme. In fact, I have to say, right off the bat, this game's soundtrack is fantastic. And let's start a new game, and now we get to name our character. The canon name for the main character in this game, in the American version, is Benjamin. Though, if you're playing the Japanese version, his name is Zash. And honestly, I like that better, but let's just stick with Benjamin at this point, really. Plus, the entire game's recorded, so it's not like I can change it at this point. And let's end and start our adventure off. Okay, just throwing us right in there, I guess. My village is gone. What on earth is going on? This place is going to sink any second. Let's climb up quick. Okay. Press the B button and jump across. Ah, jumping in the Squaresoft RPG prior to the year 2000. Rare. Guess there's no going back there, huh? Look over there. That's the Focus Tower, once the heart of the world. An old prophecy says the Vile Four will steal the power and divide the world behind 4 doors. At that time, the night will appear. The prophecy has now come true. 4 monsters have locked the doors of the Focus Tower and escaped with the keys. They're draining the light from the 4 crystals of Earth, and the world is in chaos. The people are in desperate need of help. Benjamin, only you can save the crystals and the world. Me? Yes, you, Benjamin. Only you could be the knight spoken of in prophecy. Look out, a monster! And we get thrown into, honestly, one of the harder fights in the game right off the bat, against the Behemoth. 80 HP, and that's all that's about matter at this point. This fight actually comes down to a good amount of luck, because if you miss more than once, and if he gets a critical hit, you're gonna be in trouble. Because at this point, I think we only have like 100-something health. I don't know, I can't... Actually, no, I think each bar is exactly 100 health, so I think we do have 100. I say I think because I can't count that many yellow lines. But either way, pretty self-explanatory. Seems I was right. At last I found a true knight. At last? How many of us have you gone through before? I shouldn't trust this old man. But you said you were sure I was the one. Well, actually it was more of a guess. Really? Forget it. Just tell me where I can find the crystals. It's up to you to find them. This place is becoming dangerous. Follow me to the level forest. Okay. Gotta get out of here. Who is that guy anyway? Also, I should mention, we never hear Benjamin talk about his home again. In fact, it doesn't even have a name. And now it's completely gone. Well, let's check out this level forest place. And wow, that's a dead-looking forest. There you are. What do you think I should do first? Save the Crystal of Earth. See you. What? Huh. That's kind of dickish. But there's actually not much we can do in the level forest right now, so let's go up here and talk to this old dude. That boulder's blocking my way back to town. Would you shove it aside? And now you can push things. Thank you. If you want to go through this forest, find Kaylee in Foresta. And show her this. And we get a tree with her. Thank you. Have you seen Kaylee yet? No, in fact, I thought you would leave. But that's a nice tutorial that we can actually push things, even though you actually can't push things that often. And there we get a cure potion, this game's restorative item. It's the only HP restoring item in the game, actually. And it restores, I believe, your level multiplied by 10 in HP every time you use one. Pretty useful, even by the end game. I'm Kaylee. There's a tree blocking the north exit of the level forest. I can chop down the tree, but monsters have taken over the forest, and I can't get to it. I can help you with that. Come on, let's go. Don't you dare take Kaylee anywhere dangerous. Listen, Mom. Hey, that tree over wither looks awful. How much the trees must be suffering. Okay, you win. Don't worry, Mom. And Kaylee joins us pretty quickly. Okay, then. However, let's talk to her mother first, actually. My husband, Mac, forgot his captain's cap. I hope nothing happens. That might come to play eventually. As you can see, Kaylee is stronger, and over her name it says Auto. We'll talk about that in a few moments when I go into the options menu. For now, let's actually explore Forest a little bit, because there's some stuff we can do here, namely just learn stuff from the citizens. The monster can drain energy from a person. I'm really just a child. Oh, okay then. What do you have to say, ma'am? The Crystal of Earth is to the north in the Bone Dungeon. Well, that's convenient. Strange trees are growing in level forests. That's probably important. Thanks for the help back there. Take the chest in the back. Oh, it's the guy who helped in the forest, and we need to get to that chest somehow. And the way we get to that is interesting, in that it's going to give me a little bit of a story developmentally. But first, let's head into this house. This is your inn for the area. You won't even have to pay for this one. Just enter this bed, Benjamin dabs for some reason, and you're good to go. Can you save all 4 crystals? Probably. And I completely missed that treasure chest. Notable, brown chests like that have contained the cure potions thus far are technically infinite. If you leave the area and come back, the item within them will respawn, so it's actually very easy to get max items. Either way, jumping across here is going to find us at that red chest, which is the cure spell. Red chests like this always contain key one-of-a-kind items. The cure spell in particular is actually a very useful one, because like with the cure potions, the only fully devoted healing spell in the game. There are other ways to get your HP restored, obviously, but that's the only one that's purely for restoration. And with that, I'm actually going to drop a save, which you can just access with the X button, which is why I go right to save. And now let's customize. First off, I want numbers. I don't like the scale. Control is about your second party member. By default, they're set to auto, in which case they'll just respond to whatever has happened in battle. Saying the manual allows you to control them. And you can mess around with the color of the windows and such, so on and so forth. Item-wise, cure potions I talked about, and there's the key items. Spell is where you can just view whatever spells you have, and if you want to use them, you can. However, as you can note below, this game uses a spell charge system. NP is gone from Final Fantasy IV because this was released in the place of Final Fantasy V here in the States. There are 3 types of magic: white, black, and wizard. We'll be getting them all throughout the game. However, at this point, only white magic is accessible to us. Notable though, Kaylee has the life spell to start, and that's so you can revive Benjamin if he falls, because as you can see, he's pretty weak right now. But the life spell has a bit of a bug in the American version. You see, you can use it on an enemy to kill them. It's only intended to do that against undead type enemies, but it can actually do it to any of them in this game. It can also completely restore HP. Also, Kaylee has some armor off the top, which prevents her from being petrified, silenced, and reduces damage from ice-type attacks, which is pretty useful in the long run. Though that leads into a certain bug, but I won't be able to talk about that for a little bit yet. Also, I believe the cure spell's formula is your magic stat multiplied by 1.5, plus the spell's power multiplied by your max HP, then divided by 100. And then that can be split. Let me cut this with my axe. We've got to reach the north exit. Okay, but first I'm going to go over here and grab that, because that's the thing. Magic can be multi-targeted in this game, and I don't really use that for a while. The way you do that is just by pressing up or down, depending if you want to multi-target the enemies or your party. And speaking of enemies, we got new ones. Brownies. 50 HP, 66 experience points, and 3 gold, and that's about it. They actually have no weaknesses, because as with most RPGs, enemies are going to have elemental and even weapon-type weaknesses. For instance, certain enemies later on might be weak against Benjamin's sword, whereas others might be weak against Kaylee's axe. In the level forest, though, we don't really have to worry about that at all. In fact, the level forest is just here to get you more used to the battle mechanics. Notable, if you have your partner on auto AI, their action is actually determined when their turn is reached. It's not determined, like, say, when you input your last command. And that's really useful because that means they can heal right after you get damaged. And that's the one benefit that auto actually really has. Either way, next enemy is a slime, 55 HP, 72 experience points, 3 gold. They have a weapon type weakness, but we actually can't do anything about that for a while yet. So at this point, they're just another enemy in the way. Kaylee is going to be targeting them. In fact, for a lot of the battles in this area that have 3 enemies, The strategy you're going to want to take is have Benjamin target one of them twice, while Kaylee one-shots the other two. However, you might have trouble with that for one reason. This game's accuracy rate is actually garbage. Especially like the first half of the game, you're going to be missing a lot of attacks, and it's just going to get annoying. And with that battle, I believe Benjamin's going to level up, which means I can discuss his levels. Yes, he does. Benjamin gains the exact same stats every level up. It's just that those stats really stack up after a while. He gains 40 HP, 2.5 attack, 2 defense, 2 speed, 1 magic, and half an accuracy point. Though, I think he also gains 1 or 2 spell charges in a random magic type. I think. The magic charge growth is actually something I'm not entirely sure about, but it's notable that it does happen. Either way with that, that's actually something we can do in the main area for right now, so I'd actually recommend saving. Or just use the cure spell. Because now it's time for our boss fight. This is the evil tree I was talking about. Ah! Surprise! Ah! He poisoned me, just as he did the trees. Wouldn't it be cool if she actually kept that poison status? Either way, time for us to fight our first actual boss fight, the Minotaur. 240 HP, 102 experience points, 30 guild. Gil. And I don't actually think he can poison you. So, that's a thing. However, it's notable that, you remember how I mentioned that the life spell can kill most enemies if you use it on them? A lot of bosses aren't flagged properly, and thus you can cast the life spell on them to kill them in one shot. For instance, you can do that here. However, I want to at least keep things somewhat interesting because a big complaint with this game is that boss fights aside, it gets rather bland. And trust me, I'm going to talk about more of that later. But for right now, I just want to keep things as interesting as possible. If you just mash the attack button in this fight, though, you should win. Because since you have so few spells, there's not much you can really do. Kaylee, what happened? I'll be okay as soon as I take elixir. That's in the sand temple. Don't worry, I'll get it. And take this axe with you. And we get the axe. I'll be back. Benjamin gets multiple weapon types throughout the game. The axe is the next one, and for right now we want to use it because it's just more powerful. However, every weapon has a field ability if you press the A button. You can swap between weapons with the L and R button, and this is going to be pretty useful for traversing. For instance, the axe can chop down certain entities in the field, such as trees. And that allows us to access, I think, this thing of heal potions, which is used to heal any status ailments. And I think another thing of cure potions to the east. Now, the thing I wanted to bring up developmentally about this game is that this is actually developed by the exact same team who did Final Fantasy Legend 3. And in terms of the sprite work and even the fact you can jump, it actually becomes fairly apparent early on that that's very much the case. Though in terms of development, this game, as I mentioned earlier, was released here in the place of Final Fantasy V, because they thought that game would be too much for us for some reason. I'll admit 5 is a hard game at times, but really? I'm not going to hold it against them because it was so long ago, but that's kind of dumb. Either way, welcome to the Sand Temple. Let's get that elixir or not. Hi there. Looking for some cure, kid? First of all, my name is Benjamin, and I'm looking for elixir. I'll sell you some for, say, 9,000 gold. Well? Whoa, that's way too much! Listen, kid, this stuff is precious, right? My allowance is only 2 gold a month, and your village is kind of gone, so, well then, let's do it this way. I'm going to the bone dungeon to find treasure. You come with me and find it. If I get the treasure, you get the elixir. Do I have any choice? Where do we go? There's a battlefield nearby. Why don't you whack a few monsters there? Maybe win something, kid. The name's Benjamin. Also, I should note, enemies that in prior areas respawn when you leave and re-enter them from the world map. So, at this point, you actually could grind for 9,000 gold and you can't get the elixir from him. And you may have noticed something there. Let's take a look at his immunities. I think that's poison and fire. However, if we look at his immunities, he still has Kaylee's elemental immunities. That is a bug in the game that you can only get rid of by saving the game and doing a reset. So, in a quick little jump cut here, I'm actually going to reset the game so Tristam, as he is, actually has his own immunities. Just because they're designed like that for the web area of the game you go into. But now it's time to talk about battlefields. Battlefields are 10 rounds of semi-random encounters littered throughout the game's world. Not only are they a good way to get gold and experience points, but you also get a reward at the end of them. Sometimes it's gold, sometimes it's experience points, sometimes it's a unique accessory. So it's good to do these whenever you can. The way I'm handling them for the most part is if there's a new enemy, I'll show it off, but otherwise I'm only showing the first and last encounters. For instance, in this one, we got 2 new enemies. The Mad Plant, who is weak against Axe-type attacks, 60 HP, 57 experience points, 3 gold. And the Poison Toads, who have 70 HP, 63 XP, 3 gold. They can poison you, so watch out for that. And they don't really have any weakness that we can exploit. Poison in this game is kind of annoying, sort of. It depends on where you are in the game. Early on, it can be kind of devastating because every point of HP counts that much more. But later on in the game, when you have higher defenses and such and more HP, it doesn't really matter as much. However, there is a notable glitch with the battlefields. If it's a battlefield that rewards you with experience points and you level up from the last encounter, this weird overflow thing happens, causing you to gain a level up from the battle itself, and then the reward XP will give you a second level up, meaning that you're technically 1 level stronger, yes, but it'll also mean that you have so much more experience points to go before you can get the next level up. So I'm avoiding that glitch with whatever means I can. Tristan, by the way, uses ninja stars. They are a projectile-type weapon that can run out. However, frequently throughout the game, projectile weapons like that are found in chests, so you don't really have to worry about it. And now we have the next enemy, Basilisks. 93 HP, 81 experience points, 3 gold, and no real weaknesses. I don't even think they can petrify you like many other Basilisks can, so don't have to worry about too much with them. Either way, as you noted, Kaylee left us and Tristan joined, and we want a charm for this battlefield, which I believe just gives you 1 defense. The way that this game handles secondary party members is that Benjamin's always there, but the second slot rotates in and out, and usually the level that that party member that joins you is the level you want to be when they leave, at a minimum. So for instance, Tristan joined us at level 7. If you went through the Bone Dungeon, the next major area straight off the bat, roughly level 7 is probably where you come out. However, doing the battlefield, you can be a bit ahead of things with that. Either way, here we have some moving sand, which sounds really bad, but you can actually jump on it, and therefore just get some extra distance and not have to worry about things as much. And now it's time for our next enemy, the Sandworm. 140 HP, 99 experience points, 3 gold, weak to Axe-type attacks. They have another weakness, but we actually can't take care of that for a while, until the very end of this dungeon even. And they can't poison you, so I guess watch out for that at this point. And now we get some ninja stars. Like I said, you're going to be finding those all over the place. In fact, you never really have to worry about running out. If Tristan just attacks during every turn, you have nothing to fear. Also, get prepared for a lot of rooms like this in the game. Frequently, there are rooms like this that have multiple pathways but are littered with enemies. And since I want to be as high level as I can be by the end of the game without grinding, I'm going to be going on my way to fight every enemy. Ah, there's a red chest up there, but I can't get past that skeleton. Dang. Well, thankfully we can walk through the water and this really creepy looking skeleton. And admittedly, this took me some time to figure out. I don't know why. I was kind of stupid, which is odd because I played this game for the first time in high school. The door's sealed shut. Well, here goes. Watch this. Aren't these something? I'll sell you some cheap. How about 50 explosives for 30 gold? Sorry. Alright, I'll cut you a deal. How about 50 for 15? Sure. So yeah, you can actually cut the price. And bombs are interesting. They are Benjamin's only ammunition-based weapon in the game. And they're extremely powerful. At most points in the game, a bomb of any kind is usually stronger than most of your other weapons. However, they obviously come with the cost of being limited. Plus, their damage sounds nice, but it's actually split damage on enemies. So more or less, you usually want to use them whenever there's an enemy alone or on boss fights. And of course, they can be used to blow up obstacles like this and get us the steel shield. So now, not only do we, I think that's just defense. I don't think that gives us any elemental immunities. Yeah, that's right. But still, 5 defense, nothing to laugh at. Although notable, bombs are also very useful if you have the blind status set upon you, because blind actually works in this game. Because bombs never miss. So you at least have that to fall back on in the case that you need to get some extra damage in, but you're blinded. And now it's time for the next enemy, a rock. And an interesting little detail, if an enemy is technically considered aerial, and all the battles aerial enemies, they have this little floating effect. If there's a ground-based enemy, though, they'll just kind of float there, looking at us eternally. Rocks have 100 HP, 93 XP, 3 gold. Weak to shoot type attacks, which is a projectile-based weapon category. For instance, the Ninja Stars fall into that. The Ninja Stars can also inflict a number of status ailments, like I think paralysis is on there, as is poison, but it's not really that useful for that. And I think the rocks can blind you, so watch out for that. Skeletons, on the other hand, have 120 HP, 93 XP, 3 gold. 2 weaknesses, but the only one we can use right now is what's considered zombie type attacks, which is actually curative type stuff. So say you use a cure spell on them, it'll do more damage. However, I like saving my white magic charges for healing, so no thanks. Notable though, the skeletons are the first enemies in the game that can inflict confusion on you through their spooky laugh ability. And confusion is the worst status ailment in the game because you lose control of the characters for at least a turn. I'm not exactly sure how long status ailments last by default. I know the paralysis one lasts basically until you cure it, but it's annoying if you get confused in this game, to say the least, because you can not only attack yourself and your party members, but also the enemies, and trust me, more times out of 10, they'll attack your party members. And over here we have a rarity. A Gorgon, the only other enemy type in the game that I think shares the Behemoth's sprite. The Gorgon has 150 HP, 114 EXP, 3 gold, and that's actually about it. They're pretty vanilla enemies. But the fact that they're the only enemy type in the game that shares the Gorgon sprite, and they only show up in this area in the game, one fight notwithstanding, is notable to me for some reason. Also, we gotta blow up this skeleton. Sorry, dead thing. Now, as you can see, and you saw throughout the area, really, there is moving sand that pushes you back, but a weird graphical detail that this area has for some reason is that even the stationary sand is slowly moving towards the bottom of the screen at like a pixel a second. And I thought for years that was just my mind playing tricks on me. But if you actually pay attention, no, that sand is moving down. Kind of weird, but okay. Let's blow this up. And hey, is that a new enemy I see in the distance? I think it is. Next up is the Minotaur Zombie. 240 HP, 120 EXP, 30 gold. Can blind and confuse you, so watch out for that. And they are weak to cure, which is about all there really is. Really, at this point in this, if you gotten this far in this area, you don't actually have to fear much from these guys, because while confusion is bad, yes, the damage output from enemies is not, well, it is kind of low compared to your HP already. But most of the time, enemies prefer to use their physical attacks anyway at this point in the game that you don't really have to worry about even confusion. And since you do so low damage, you don't really have to worry about taking much damage if you get hit by yourself. It's later on that gets really annoying. Now, I think I actually screw up on something here. Oh, no, I don't. I go in here. Good. For some reason, I thought I didn't go in here. And here we get seeds. Hold on to those more or less forever. Seeds are this game's too good to use club. Why? They're the MP restorative item. They restore all your spell charges immediately. And you can't get these again until a good while. So hold on to those unless you absolutely need them. I guess in the long run you could use them, particularly I'm thinking 2 dungeons ahead of now, but I prefer not to. But now I want to follow this skeleton to its exit because there's a red chest here which means you have a unique item, the Quake spell. Earth elemental damage on all active enemies. Most flying enemies take half damage from it though, notably. If they're not outright immune to it as it is. Actually, I don't think any enemies are immune to a specific type of thing in this game. And that looks like a boss fight. You'll never beat me. I have the power of the Crystal of Earth. Next boss fight is Flavorous Rex. 2200 HP, 120 EXP, no gold. weak to cure. However, the life spell will notably not work on him. He's actually flagged correctly, if I recall correctly. Now, something I didn't bring up so far in the entire part, and one detail I love this game does, is that they actually went the extra effort to give extra sprites to enemies the more you damage them. Most random enemies will only have 2 sprites, a standard sprite and an okay sprite, but bosses have 3 or 4 most of the time. And admittedly, this game's sprite work for the enemies is really, really good. Notable, though, about Flamerous Rex, he has a lot of damaging attacks, obviously, but he can also put you to sleep, and I think he's the first enemy in the game that has an attack that can do more than 1 hit, which doesn't sound that bad. In fact, it's really not that bad, but in the case you're low on HP and he pulls out that Twin Fang attack, you might want to be careful. Thankfully, I think the only spell at this point Tristram has might be life. I'm actually not sure. I rarely use his life, his magic. But it is, I guess, worth notable if he has it. At this point, though, I'm understandably getting a bit nervous because he's using his Earth Elemental skill, and oh god, there goes Benji. Okay, thank god you do have life. Ow. Yeah, he hurts. The bosses in this game are the only thing that actually represent a true challenge compared to everything else. Mostly just because they have the damage output to back up the simplicity of the game. Yeah, you're not doing much, but they'll punch you. They'll punch you damn hard. Hey, it's a red chest. No, don't take it. What the... Crystal restored, I guess. Look, the crystal. Never mind that. Get a load of this stuff. Whoa. Someone likes Legend of Zelda. I'll keep this. Oh, here's what you wanted. And we get the elixir. We also get a cure potion, some explosives, and more importantly than any of those things, over here is the sand coin. You need this. And now, here's the thing. You might try to grab the crystal, but you don't need to. All we need to do in this game is awaken the crystals. Look, I've got to go. See you around, kid. So at this point, we actually just have to leave the area outright. At this point, though, there's no easy way to leave. You have to walk out the long way. The enemies don't respawn, thankfully, but that can be tedious. But with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 2, I guess I'll be checking up on Forrester now that we restored the Crystal of Earth. See you guys then.